On the issue of illegal immigration, obviously not exclusively, but a lot of crime is also committed by undocumented immigrants.
Yes.
How will you deal with that, especially given that the AFF is actually, I think, for the future, you are advocating for a borderless continent?
Well, what you are saying is unscientific because there's no an uncontrollable crime committed by illegal immigrants. Percentage-wise, it's not correct. What is your biggest crime? Is contact, a crime that is being committed, is GBV, cash in transit haste, and all those manner of crimes. Go and check who's committing those crimes. Go and check who's committing GBV in this country. Go and check who's mugging people here in Johannesburg. So it's not entirely correct. Yes, there are illegal immigrants that commit crime in South Africa, but it's not out of hand. It is not an issue that is uncontrollable. And that's how we are going to get defeated when we deal with crime, if we don't make a proper diagnosis. And the diagnostic report that says illegal immigrants are the ones who are committing crime is going to lead into a wrong prescription of how we solve this illness. So there's no such a problem. Secondly, everybody must have documents. Even me, I'm not an illegal immigrant. I've got documents of being a South African. I've got an address. Let's regularize these so-called illegal immigrants who are here. Many of them are here because they are seeking asylum. Many of them are here because of political reasons. Many of them are here because of economic reasons that are happening in their countries. I'm not going to join a chorus that says we need to push them away. Many of them are not committing any crime. So we need to make sure that we regularize it. We are able to put them in proper places where they can be located.
What do you say to some of the people who say, you know what, we love what the EFF is doing, but the manner in which their leader speaks about foreigners, so to speak, somehow dissuades us?
Don't vote for me. I don't want that vote. I don't want a xenophobic vote. I love my African people. The same way I love my mother and my grandmother. I'm in love with Africans. Africans are hated everywhere. You go to America, the black skin is a source of hatred. You go to UK, a black skin is a source of hatred. You asking me to join in the hatred of black people. I know what the hatred of my skin did during apartheid. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be asked that I should stand at the border, at the fence between Limpopo and Zimbabwe and block a mother who's carrying a child, only crossing to get a medication in Musina and going back to Zimbabwe because there is a problem in Zimbabwe. I refuse to join that chorus. And if that will not make me the president of this country, I'm happy that let me die with my conscience being clear that being a president who has emerged through selling out his own soul. Nobody asked me to feel like this. I feel very strongly about black people. I feel very strong about African continent. And I would rather not be a president because I know for a fact that this is an establishment that is spreading this anti-blackness that we experience everywhere else. It's not true. These jobs in the restaurants, these Lesotho women who are working in our houses, our sisters don't want to work there. They've gone to schools. They want quality jobs. Not that they look down on these jobs. They are saying, I cannot, with a diploma, with N6, with qualifications, go and be a domestic worker. We want more. Who wants to go and work and be paid with wine in the Cape Farms? Who wants to do that of South Africans? Let me and you take trucks and buses now and go and fetch those foreigners who are working there during harvesting season in the Cape wines. Let's go and take them and let's see what's going to happen to those Cape wines. All of those grapes are going to get rotten because our people will never agree to work in exchange for wine. Never will I. Nothing will persuade me. Not the results of the elections, not a gun on my head, not any form of intimidation will persuade me to hate on black people. I will never hate on Africans, not even for votes. Do not vote for me if you don't love Africans and you want me to hate them. I won't do that.
I think you're very,
Yes.
you've even become emotional when it comes to
Yes,
this
I
issue.
won't do that. Yes.
I want to urge you to stop blaming your brothers and sisters in Nigeria and from Zimbabwe for your hardships and for your economic woes and the problems facing your country. It is not the fault of your fellow African brothers. The problem that you encounter is caused by people who look like me. People who have this fair white skin. They are the cause of your problems, as they always have been. For it was white people who colonialized your land. It was white people who stole your resources. And it was your white people who enslaved you into a system of apartheid. So do not blame your brothers and sisters, but look to apportion the blame where it really lies. Now, this is not to demonize all white South Africans. And in my times in traveling in your country, I have recognized that things have changed and that the younger generations of people of European origin are nowhere near as bigoted as their fathers and their grandfathers. Things are changing and people do have more progressive attitudes. However, it is those people living on their farms.
Let's talk about migration and what's happening in South Africa at the moment, and people livid in many instances about the presence of foreign nationals in South Africa, saying that this gives rise to crime in a lot of instances, feeling that foreign nationals are taking away their jobs. And I want to hear the EFF on this and your response to South Africans for whom this might be a lived reality.
I want to know which foreigner took a job from who, because you are here, you are the anchor of the SABC. There is no foreigner who can come here and just take your job and say, from today I'm sitting here. The bosses would have allowed that. So the bosses are white monopoly capital which owns the South African economy. Is the one that brings foreigners into the country, give them jobs because they're going to pay them lower wages. And then from there come to South Africans and say, these people are taking your jobs, and then they make us fight. But Sakina, since when have other Africans never worked in South Africa? Because this Johannesburg was founded by a Southern Africa, not South Africa. That's why the language Fanaka law exists. Because these people came from everywhere to come and mine this diamond that we're enjoying and gold we're enjoying today in Gauteng. So they met from Mozambique, they met from Malawi, they met from Zambia, Zimbabwe. They came together, they couldn't hear one another. They even developed a language called Fanaka law. EFF was not there when that was formed. So it's not true that this is something that is happening for the first time. It has always been. But why would you say, I don't support colonialism and support colonial borders? That is hypocrisy. If you don't support apartheid, you don't support colonialism, you cannot support the invasion of everything that came with these people. The borders were imposed on us. We never had borders. And even without borders, we never encroached in each other's territory. We always knew that here is this kingdom, here is that kingdom. So it's unscientific to say when you do away with the borders, there's going to be an influx of foreigners in South Africa. Let's take Limpopo and Gauteng, for instance. Limpopo is much more poor than Gauteng, but the people have never left Limpopo to come to Gauteng. I come from Limpopo, and every time I get an opportunity, I go home. I've got no intention, none whatsoever, to relocate my home into Gauteng. So it's unscientific to say because people are poorer and we are in a much better, relatively stable situation, they are going to come here and destabilize us. No one wants to come here. We want you, people of Africa, if you want to go and trade in DRC, wake up this morning and just go to DRC and do whatever you want to do and come back without hassle. There must be free movement of people. There must be free movement of goods, and Africans must trade amongst themselves, because only through the unity of Africa will we earn our seat on the international table where real issues are being discussed. What will Swaziland go and tell China and say no, Swaziland and China are equal on what? But once we bring the unity of Africa, both in terms of size of the population and the mineral resources combined, the world will listen to us.
Okay.
We command more than 85% of the world platinum, ourselves and Zimbabwe combined.
Under the auspice of asylum seeking, they open spaza shops, sell fake goods to our vulnerable communities. What is the EFF stance in relation to that?
Okay, thanks, Dolo. Nice and short.
Well, we don't agree with fake and expired food. That's the bottom line. And we, as the EFF, from time to time at the branch level, we go visit the shops to check the expiry dates and all of that. My problem is that we now associate fake food and expired food exclusively to those ones who are found in the villages and in the township, as if those are the people who can sell such things. And SPAR, I said this publicly many times, they've never challenged me. SPAR sells expired food. But because it's white-owned, no one speaks about that. It's like, no, expired food is associated with these ones and all of that. South Africa has got a right to protect its own economy, including small businesses and all of that. We must not avail our own properties to these people and then complain after that these people have come to open spaza shops, because none of these people has forced anyone. Actually, in front of my grandmother's house, one of them is there. He was in a shop that we grew up. That shop was there. Then I don't know what happened. They fought. Then he went next door. If you look at the design of their shops, are the same, and the color, they're colorful. And people say, these people come here and do this. But my question is, you guys give them the space to do what they are doing, and then you come back to complain. Our foreign policy, especially with the African continent, is that this continent is one. It has always been one. And you can't say, I don't like apartheid, I don't like colonialism, but I support borders. The borders were imposed on us by the colonialists during the scramble for Africa. And therefore, in undoing the work of colonialism, the borders have to be done away with. And you can't say, when you do away with the borders, these people are going to come into South Africa because they are starving where they are. We are starving in Limpopo. There's no border between us and Gauteng. But we have not left our homes there, and Limpopo is peoplesless because they went to Gauteng where there are resources, and because there is no border, they are flocking there. No one will ever abandon their countries to come here. All we are doing is, my sister, if you want to go to Nigeria to go and try some business opportunities or anything of that sort, wake up in the morning and go. Why are the Europeans allowed to do it? They eat breakfast in Milan, in Italy, and go and sleep in Paris without a hassle. And we are not allowed because the unity of Africa is a threat to certain people. There is no, and I say this all the time, they say, no, these foreigners take our jobs and all of that. I say, if we find a foreigner working here at Kaya FM, he didn't employ himself. He was employed by the bosses here. So you cannot fight this one. You have to fight the bosses that we must be given a preference, which we agree with. But let's not allow them to make us fight amongst ourselves, because they enjoy that. They hire foreigners and then they come to you and say, you can't get jobs because foreigners have taken jobs all over. But who employs these people? It's the same people who are saying foreigners have taken jobs.
You know, incidentally, the trade minister of Zimbabwe this week said something, which is an irony because I don't know if there's trade in Zimbabwe. Yeah. But that's not the point. Well, there is trade. She said that no foreigner should run businesses in Zimbabwe. I mean, that feels like a slight on you saying, across the road,
so my brother, because someone is doing something wrong and says something wrong, now must join that, so that no, we must be equal. No, I can't. That's what they believe in. And I don't know who will go to Zimbabwe now to go and do business there. especially the fields that he's talking about. I know Zimbabwe is trading tobacco. There is still gold. There is platinum. Actually, some studies were suggesting that our Zimbabwean platinum and our platinum and that of Zimbabwe combined constitute almost 85% of the world.
Very
platinum.
possible.
Yeah, so there's still platinum there. So there's some trade going on. Whether they are doing it right or not, I don't know. But that's where the Chinese interests come in. But we're not saying no foreigner must come and trade in South Africa, because Zimbabweans are no foreigners in South Africa. They're Africans. So that's why you are wrong in your joke to say we're all going to be South Africans. We're all going to go back to being Africans. Because that's the problem with you South Africans. You think you are a Europe of Africa, that you are not part of the continent. We need to go back to our continent and identify with it, and it must be borderless. And borderless does not mean criminality. Europeans have a borderless continent called Europe. They trade with ease. You can have a breakfast.
Travel with ease. They go to a football match the same night they back home.
You have breakfast in Milan, in Italy, and then sleep in London with no hassle. So, and then when it comes to us, because the unity of Africans threatens them, they say no.
Well, don't get me wrong. You know, personally, if you gave all Ethiopian women South Africans, I'd be the happiest person. But I think they're harmless people generally, and I think about.